Your party has been criticised for not doing enough in this campaign. Do you think there is some truth in that?
Yes, I do think there's truth in that. I think that Labour and I think Jeremy Corbyn was equivocal about support for the EU. Only a couple of weeks ago, when there were polls of Labour voters, half of them weren't sure what the Labour position was. We were up against a Leave campaign that was using red posters. It was using the style of our own campaign literature, and I think that was confusing for people. But also, I think we did fail to recognise the heartfelt concerns of traditional Labour voters in some of our smaller communities about the impact of change. These are people who don't feel globalisation has helped them. They're not part of the political elite or the business elite. And for them, they felt the debate was all about helping the better off. And they couldn't see where they were being listened to in that. And importantly, was this difficult issue about immigration. Look, I recognise the benefits that come from immigration, but they're not evenly shared. And actually, when you've got an area that has a number of jobs that are 0-hour contracts, low pay, low skill, that's where there's a lot of competition. And you don't even have to have a large number of migrants to have that impact. And that has created this gap in the public's mind about immigration, parts of the country thinking it's great, other parts, and clearly a majority, feeling not so.
Do you think Jeremy Corbyn can still be party leader of the Labour Party after this?
Well, leaders of parties have to, take responsibility. And what we need to have in the Labour Party right now is a proper discussion about why we failed to reach half our Labour voters and enthuse them to vote Remain. And what we need to hear from Jeremy is, does he understand the failure? Does he understand why those people feel disconnected from Labour's campaign to stay in? And what is he going to do about it? Because at the moment, we are not reaching huge sections of our membership that are going to be important to us come a general election or come council elections in the not too distant future.
But if your leader hasn't been able to succeed in doing that during this campaign, is he then suitable to lead your party?
Well, I think if he doesn't demonstrate he can do that, no.
And but that you won't say now.
No, it's no. We have said that there's a motion of confidence in him. We will need to have a discussion in the Parliamentary Labour Party, and we need to hear him and hear him out. I think that's only fair on these things. But he has to convince us he can reach out because we lost badly in 2015. We only have 232 members of Parliament. It is a majority situation to win an election, run the government. That's different from other countries, I know. But there's a danger on the outcome of yesterday's vote that in huge parts of our Labour heartland outside of London, we're in danger of losing more seats. So look, whether it's Jeremy Corbyn or any other leader, if they aren't able to reach out and have presence and command and inspire support, then there's a problem. And, I sort of think, we have to be able to speak truth to our leaders, and actually, more importantly, they have to recognise if there are limitations in their appeal and do the right thing by the party. The party is bigger than any individual, and the Labour Party is important because it's our people, those who most need us, who lose out when we elect Tory governments.
Do you think a lot of voters are disappointed with you?
I think at the moment there's a lot of Labour voters who are pleased that their vote won. So, and I respect that, and we have to engage with that. And for my constituency, even though I had a different view from the number of people who voted for me, my first job is absolutely to represent their best interests. And whilst they did vote to leave, there's going to be a lot of difficult decisions that are going to have to be made in the months and maybe years ahead, and I will just be looking out for them within the context that Britain has voted to leave. The last country that left, I think, was the last and only country was Greenland. UK is very different to Greenland, and 43 years. There are a lot of there's a lot of huge host of different issues where we haven't, and some of those changes we've actually put forward ourselves as a country. It's not the EU doing it to us. How do we disentangle this? And the truth is, sadly, and I think this will come to pass, the priority for the EU and for Juncker is going to be the other 27 member states, because they recognise in many of the countries, and Sweden as well, there is also people who are a bit concerned about the EU and what have you. Now, they're not going to give a better deal to the UK than is already there for the other 27 member states.
And obviously what's happened here now in the UK has sparked some confidence in those movements in other European countries. Do you think what's happened here and this country should feel a bit responsible for what's happening in Europe now, right now? No, as well?
I think some of the politics of UKIP and other right-wing, far right-wing parties is not something typical to the UK. And I would say, absolutely, I think some of the things that have been said in the Leave campaign, some of the posters and material to heighten people's sense of insecurity, to frighten people about Turkey coming in and what have you, I think is despicable. I think some of the things said about immigration have been despicable, but that cannot take away from that if we don't, those of us in the mainstream of politics, of progressive politics, if we don't listen to some of the concerns people have about the changes to the community, the way their community looks, the danger is they will move to parties that are to the right and an ugly type of politics, and it's responsibility on progressive parties like the Labour Party to make sure that we do engage with our voters, we do not let them feel abandoned, and we do not leave them vulnerable to those populist voices who, at the end of the day, it's easy to start a fire, it's a lot harder to put it out, and at the end of the day they're not really that interested in the economic fortunes and the jobs and opportunity of people in my constituency who've always been at the bottom of the heap compared to those at the top. That really isn't their priority on this, and that's who I'm looking out for.